thank you all, whoever is present in the seminar hall, on and off the dais. As you can see, the title of my presentation is Advertisement, a study of typecasting in select popular Indian ads. So you can wonder as to why I made advertisement instead of saying advertisement. See, whenever you are looking at a cultural product, you have to, or one has to understand the fact that the concept of culture, let alone popular culture, itself has a politics. And when Professor A.B. was speaking, he was speaking about manipulation, maneuvering, ideologies of popular as well as popular culture. So every advertisement communicates a message to the consumer. And more often than not, the message is multifaceted, multi-layered, and soaked in politics. We have to understand the politics behind the making of an ad, and also the politics of the message that is being communicated through an ad. So advertisement is adverse both in terms of the maker's attitude towards the consumer, which is very ambiguous at times and complicated as well. And the message, and in terms of the message, the ad is supposed to communicate. We have to understand the nature of this content. I mean the content of the message as well as the content of the ad. I will show you 7 very popular ads. I said Indian ads, most of them are in Hindi, but since those ads have regional versions of as well, and some of the ads were actually made in regional languages and then translated into Hindi. So when I say Indian ad, I don't mean Hindi ads, because there is a tendency to equate Indian with or Hindi with India. So all those 7 ads, all of you present over here have watched several times. Once again, look at those ads, popular ads, and listen very carefully to the words. This is very important, you know. More often than not, we skip the words and the implications, ramifications of those words and terminologies used in popular ads while watching an ad. We focus more on characters, gestures, settings, etc. But I would request all of you, especially the students who are present in this seminar. AB was speaking about the politics, ideology of the popular. And all of us would agree that one part of the definition of the popular is connected to number. How many people love this thing? Love this content? So looking at the audience, one would think that the event has already become very popular. Considering the number of people attending this seminar. But when we entered the college, we were discussing, I mean, it was a scary sight. We were thinking whether we will be discussing our topics among ourselves. But then suddenly a magic happened and the hall became full. I mean, no bench is vacant at the moment. So, see, the picture, if you click a photo of the seminar hall and show it to someone outside, he or she will think that was a very, grand, popular event. But BAPIT must have forced some of you, or the college authority must have forced some of you in the name of attendance, etc., internal projects, and some of you have, papers to present in the seminar. So you are here. Amida was speaking about Shotoranjita kinto Amar. So I will stay till the end of the seminar. I may not be listening to what is being said in the seminar, but because I have to present my paper, or I have to earn marks in internal assessment or attendance, I have to be there. So that is the politics of popular, That is the politics of making something popular. So what we do is we miss out on these backstage policies, strategies. I was, discussing with Pinakida, where others are, Onik and, other our students are. And then I was telling him that it must be the organizer's pain. So it is included there. Bringing in students. So this is more or less the definition of the popular, and the politics that Amida was speaking about. So the ads, before going to show the ads, I will say a few words on popular and why advertisement is so important in shaping our perception of ourselves and the world. This plays a very important role in self-actualization and subsequent individuation. So when characters, peoples get typecast repeatedly, regularly, and watch them, it has a hammering effect, unlike the films, which you watch one time. But if you are watching a cricket match, you watch one ad, say 10 times. So ideas are hammered into your brain, into your existence. And why that happens? What ideologies, what politics is being played by the invisible maker in many senses, are important. We all have to understand that. So, what is popular? I mean, this is my definition, because Amida has given all possible definitions of the popular and popular culture. I will not repeat. I have shortened my paper. First, the popular. Much has been said and written about the ideological ramifications of the hugely debated theory of the popular culture over centuries. The ceaseless arguments, sometimes self-contradictory, have created unnecessary confusions about the field in the minds of budding scholars. The protracted intellectual wrangling over the definition and meaning of the popular culture has only added to this confusion. It is a universal truism that meaning is relational, contextual, and contingent. It depends on its relation to and difference with the objects around it. Therefore, any attempt to impose homogeneity on this vastly multifarious concept would result in intellectual fallacy. The same applies to the concept of the popular. Lexically speaking, popular is something that is liked or admired chiefly by the common people. In that sense, the popular is designed according to the taste and comprehension of the masses. This popular element in the concept of the popular has had encouraged both the proponents and the critics of the concept alike to develop their subjective models of understanding as well as theorizing the concept of the popular. Whereas one group has eulogized the subversive elements inherent in the concept to the point that they have sometimes considered it as a viable site of resistance. The other group has denigrated it as either a way to cheap sensationalism or as a hegemonic tool of the ruling class to further subjugation. The problem with these traditional attitudes towards the popular greatly lies in the fact that both these theoretical standpoints subscribe to the view that the popular is a monolith, while the truth is that the popular is a multi-layered and multifaceted concept that needs not be studied as a complete whole, but in fragments depending on the context of its manifestations. Now, since popular culture has been elaborately discussed and defined, I am not going to define that once again. I'll state, I straight away will enter the strategy of typecasting in popular ads. The majority of advertising has historically portrayed people in a typecast manner. Typecasting is, in a specific cultural context, a generalized and widely accepted belief about the personal attributes of members of a social category such as gender, ethnicity, or sexual orientation. These are dynamic and change over time. It has been suggested that stereotyped advertising portrayals can reinforce typecasting that exist in society at large. Portrayals of people featured in advertising can thus have an impact on how people see themselves and others. Typecasting can also shape people's expectations and thereby limit the possibilities for self-actualization of individuals belonging to stereotyped social categories. Now, I'm skipping. I'll straight away, go into a couple of psychological theories that study the impact of popular culture, ads, on people, especially young minds. One is cognitive priming. Cognitive priming is an implicit memory effect where exposure to one stimulus affects the response to other stimuli. The priming cue activates certain pre-existing mental schema, which then automatically evokes behavior consistent with the activated schema. In the advertising literature, priming effects have been observed from stimuli featuring themes as diverse as gender, race, age, and homosexuality. The other theory is reactance. Reactance is another psychological process that could explain the effects of typecasting in advertisements. Previous research shows that consumer reactions to advertising are dependent on their perceptions of its intended audience. Ads, both in terms of what they say and how they say it, suggest to consumer who she or he is and why and who she or he could be. This information is then used by consumers in forming perceptions of themselves. In discussing typecasting in advertisements, this is particularly interesting. For consumers who feel targeted, it suggests that portrayals in ads will be seen as self-relevant and processed accordingly. Over time, being exposed to advertising using stereotype portrayals will put pressure on the audience to behave in a manner that is consistent with these stereotypes. This limits the personal freedom of consumers, thereby introducing a tension which is likely to lead to reactance. Now, those who have understood, probably all of you have understood, the impact of the stereotyping, typecasting, otherizing strategies on people. Very briefly, I have touched upon the mechanisms, the processes, and the impacts of how and how certain strategies are used by the makers of ads and what messages they are being communicated. Not what messages are not clear as yet, but I mean certain glimpses probably you have got. Now I'll go to the ads. You watch this, and I would once again request all of you to please listen very carefully the words used in the ads. The first one. The title of this is Poison Breed. The Poison Breed. It's a very popular ad. All of you double click it. No, the first one. Poison Breed. The Poison Breed. Go to the Poison Breed. Yes. Double click it. Yes, it will come. Yes, please. Sound. শুরু থেকে দেবে আবার। শুরু থেকে দেবে আবার, হ্যাঁ? Please hear the first words. This is a conversation between two murgis. Yes, please. Na ageta. Poison. The previous one. Yes, please, this one.
ये उम्मीद कतई नहीं थी। कहाँ करा के आई हो बेगम? बोलो।
आप ही के तो हैं।
उल्लू समझा है? एक की भी शक्ल नहीं मिलती है मुझसे।
Excuse me?
जी?
Yes.
नया Mentos. Bigger, softer, better.
एक मिनट। मैं लाल पीला, ये सफेद, झूठी है तो झूठी।
आप मुझ पे शक कर रहे
इनको
हैं?
तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा, मगर आपको फर्क पड़ेगा। नया Mentos. Bigger, softer, better.
Yes. See, what the husband voice says, कहाँ से मुंह काला करके आई हो, बेगम? So it is obvious that it is a Muslim couple. And the Hindi they use is very Lucknowish, UPish. So, Begum कहाँ से मुंह काला करके आए हो? And then look at the Begum. How many children, chicks, she has? So, this is a stereotypical view of, especially of the majority community in India, that the reason for India's overpopulation is the Muslims. They, have many children and they don't bother about it. But this is a popular myth, So what this ad is doing is it's playing on our perceived myths or perceived reality, we can also say. 5 minutes maximum. It won't take more than that. But if you look at the census report, the last census report, and look at the ratio, see, Muslims are only 14%, the total Indian population, whereas Hindus are 80. And we keep on telling each other that Muslims are responsible for overpopulation and call them population jihadi. So this is a popular image of population jihadi. The husband doesn't have a problem with these many children, but about the parentage, who the father must be. And then when Mentos is offered to him, he doesn't bother about it. He keeps on, barking in a sense. So, this shows that Muslims are, this tries to convey to the consumer that, this community doesn't have brain. They are instinctive. they don't think, they don't have any interest in what is happening outside. They're only interested in, these bearing children and overpopulating the country. So this is the popular myth that we have to understand, that someone is forcing these myths about our communities. And we have to challenge these myths with statistics. This is the first one. The second one, please. The second one is the southern question. I have entitled it the southern question. So, these ads are not more than 30, 40 seconds.
इडली वड़े मुंडा पोंगल इडली वड़े मुंडा पोंगल इडली वड़े
Next.
ಒಂದೇ ಇಡ್ಲಿ ವಡೆ ಬೋಂಡ ಪೊಂಗಲ್ ಉಪ್ಮಾ ಬೂರಿ
फोटरे
ಮಸಾಲೆ ದೋಸೆ
पूरे वड़ा
ವಡೆ ವಡೆ
ये क्या हो रहा है?
इडली वड़े पोंडा उपमा अप्पम सेवई पोंगल पूरी दोसे मसाला दोसे अनियन रोस्ट नहीं रोस्ट पेपर सेंटर फ्रूट कैसी जीप लपलपाई.
This once again in Hindi ads and popular films, South Indian characters have always been caricatured. They have always been reduced to lungi, idli, dosa, sambar. When I was explaining the previous ad, the earlier ad, I used a word, they're very instinctive. So here also you can see there is no logic, only instinct. And the entire community, entire South, why it happens? Because the mainstream, quote unquote mainstream Hindi India always sees the South as its cultural other. So this is how the mainstream, the mainland India otherizes South, West Bengal, even West Bengal, Bengalis and Northeast. So stereotyping, typecasting, you will come across most of the ads, if not most than many of the ads, and have to understand the politics behind it. The next one, I'll not speak much about these ads because by now you have understood how to read ads. You have to read ads. Don't watch.
কি গরম রে বাবা উফ
ওদের অর্ডার বলুন
হ্যাঁ সকালে ঠান্ডা লাও তো
नो नो ठंडा
क्यों
उसमें गड़बड़ है
तुम लाओ तो क्या गड़बड़ है
उसमें कुछ है वही लोग बोला ना
हाँ, कल वही लोग बोले का बाल काटना खराब है तो
पूरा फैमिली को हिप्पी बनाएगा और हावड़ा ब्रिज में अप डाउन कराएगा
कोई बोलेगा बात करना खराब है तो
मुख बंद करके गुंगा घूमेगा
कोई बोलेगा कपड़ा पहनना खराब है तो
कपड़ा उतार के नंगा ए बिंदु बेशी बक बक मत करो लोग बोलता है यार दे फूल
এই যে মাথা ইউজ করো মাথা 100 साल पुराना कंपनी है 200 कंट्री में लोग ठंडा पीता है और दे फूल
तुम हमारा बात नहीं सुनेगा अरे बाबा लैबोरेटरी में टेस्ट हुआ है टेस्ट यू रिटर्न
टेस्ट हुआ है सुना रिजल्ट नहीं सुना तू ना आधा सुनता है आधा समझता है रसगुल्ला का रस खाता है और गुला फेंकता है इंडिया नेदरलैंड इंग्लैंड सब का लैबोरेटरी में टेस्ट हुआ है बोला है ओके है फिट है फिर
हाँ
हाँ?
फिर हमको टेस्ट करेगा
दैट
ठंडा है ए बिंदु ए मेरी मिष्टी बिंदु ए मेरी चौटपटी बिंदु
मैं मान गया सच सच है तेरी बात तुम मुझे ठंडा पिला दे
ठंडा ला रे
तुम मुझे ठंडा पिला दे
ठंडा मतलब कोका कोला ठंडा मतलब
Once again, regional linguistic otherization, stereotyping, typecasting. And see, in this, in every domestic relationship, for that matter, in every relationship, there is power involved. So if you look at this relationship, you can see that the woman is dominant. And woman is rational, wise, speaking. The woman speaks. So you can think mistakenly that this is an ad on women empowerment. It is not. By presenting woman as stronger in this community, what the ad foregrounds is the effeminacy of Bengali men. See, whenever a Bengali couple has been presented in Hindi films, in many cases, in most of the cases, last was the example, Rocky or Rani ki prem kahani. There's a couple, Tota Rai Chaudhary and Churni Ganguly. See how Tota has been presented and how Churni. Once again, the stronger, the wiser. And, I would say more capable in all possible senses, the Bengali woman. So the Bengali man, once again the stereotyped idea of a Bengali man being effeminate is superimposed, right? Forced through these stereotypings. Next one, please. The adhesive act. This is very interesting. The next one, please. I mean, these two.
क्यों है? वो तेरे टैंक के चल क्यों नहीं रही है? क्योंकि तेरे हिंदुस्तान में तो फॉग चल रहा है ना? ये भी सही है। ओके बाय। ओके बाय।
और कुछ चले ना चले, इंडिया में तो फॉग चल रहा है।
Previously there was communal stereotyping, there was gender stereotyping, there was regional stereotyping. This one is politico-communal stereotyping. Pakistan is shown as an inferior neighbor, right? So India comes in rescue. Even in the previous ad, the Indian soldier, and see the Pakistani soldier is a buffoon basically, which is Pakistan to India, right? So this is how Pakistan and Pakistanis and Pakistani forces are being projected by the Indian ads. So thereby, creating, this is called hate campaign, hate mongering. So this is what, and I had 2-3 more ads which I will suggest to you can watch later. But my point is, please read ads while watching them. And what is the way, last point, what is the way ahead? You have to be very intelligent and understand those ads vis-a-vis their context. Thank you very much.
Well, what these two presentations have made is that they have generated a lot of intellectual heat. Very polemic, because other questions, counter questions can be asked. So now I throw this session open for questions and comments. But please make them snappy, because we are running extremely short of time. If there are any questions or comments. Well, so in that case, because the presenters and the listeners have decided to postpone their blows and counter blows for the lunch, अब मियाँ बीबी का राजी तो क्या करेगा काजी. So obviously, I have to sum it up. I have a lot of things to ask my colleagues, myself. So actually for this session, we have to give the full stop to round it off. Thank you all of you.